How do you get students in grades 5 through 8 to be interested in something that happened thousands of years ago? By using great living books. Today I'm sharing our favorite titles that will help your middle school students form a vivid relation with ancient times. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. In middle school history lessons, we like to include a variety of books, a lovely mixture of biographies, history narratives, and historical fiction, all designed to touch your students' emotions and fire their imaginations. The books that we recommend for studying ancient times provide that good variety and meet that high standard. Your students will be listening as you read the family books that we schedule for all of your students to read together, and they will also have this wonderful variety of books assigned to read on their own. Now don't worry, all of that planning has been done for you. You'll find the reading schedule in our history curriculum called A Pageant of History. The curriculum is a 4-year cycle, and that first year is dedicated to ancient times. One of the things that I love about this new curriculum is the student narration guidebooks. The guidebook for middle school encourages a habit of responsibility by giving your growing student clearly defined reading assignments, along with reading-specific narration prompts and lists of key words to promote correct spelling in any written narrations. The guidebook even has introductions to new books and Book of Centuries entries, as well as a place for your students to write their narrations and reminders to share and discuss those narrations with you. All in all, the narration guidebook is a wonderful tool to help your students continue to grow in teacher-guided self-education. Check the description for links. Here are the middle school books that are scheduled in the Ancient Times study, our favorites. The Golden Goblet by Eloise Jarvis McGraw. This is one of the historical fiction titles. It's a mystery set in ancient Egypt. The main character is a young man named Ranifer, who endures some hard situations and difficult relationships, especially with his half-brother Gibu. In fact, Ranifer discovers a golden goblet that his half-brother stole from one of the great tombs. Now, if he can prove that Gibu committed this shameful crime, Ranifer will also be able to win his own freedom. This great book will give your middle school students a vivid feel for life in ancient Egypt. Black Ships Before Troy by Rosemary Sutcliffe. Here we have a wonderful retelling of the epic poem, The Iliad, by Homer. The narrative follows the tale of the beautiful Helen, who's kidnapped and taken to Troy, the outraged Greeks who descend on Troy aboard their black ships, the siege and the battles that follow, and the great wooden horse that ultimately determines the victor. It's a well-written introduction to this famous story of ancient Greece. Archimedes and the Door of Science by Jean Bendick. Jean Bendick's books are interesting biographies that are just right for middle school. Her writing helps your students get to know the historical figure as a person, not just as a name to associate with a fact. In Archimedes and the Door of Science, your students will discover how this ancient Greek applied mathematics to real life, from levers to crowns to war machines. Oh, the facts are included, but they are clothed in ideas and presented in a well-written, living way. Next, we have Detectives in Togas by Henry Winterfeld. This book is a fun mystery set in ancient Rome. When a group of schoolboys arrives one morning at their classroom only to find their teacher bound and gagged and stuffed in the wardrobe, they dive into the challenging puzzle of trying to figure out who done it. I remember reading this book aloud when a cousin came to visit us for a few days. We ended up staying up late that night before she left in order to finish reading because she just had to know what happened and how the mystery was solved before she went home. Yes, it's that good. Your students will be introduced to daily life in ancient Rome, even as they seek to solve a not too simple mystery. And if they enjoy detectives in togas as much as I think they will, you might also take a look at the sequel, Mystery of the Roman Ransom. Redemption, the Church in Ancient Times by Luke H. Davis. I remember as a student wondering about what I perceived to be a gap between the end of the New Testament and the Church of the Middle Ages. What happened to the church after Paul was executed? And how did it get from there to the church that shows up in the time of Constantine? This little gem answers those questions and fills in that gap in history. It's the first in a series on church history that your middle school students will read as they progress through our history curriculum. Redemption, the Church in Ancient Times, gives your students narrative snapshots of key events in the lives of prominent men, from the Apostle Peter at Pentecost to St. Patrick on the shores of Ireland. Timelines, maps, sketches, and brief summaries are all included. And last we have The Bronze Bow by Elizabeth George Spear. This is a wonderful historical fiction that we recommend for middle school students. It's a classic that centers around life during the time of Christ and how one boy meets Jesus. Daniel's father was crucified by the Romans, and now he has a single passion that's driving him to avenge his father's death, even as he cares for his younger sister. Though he's drawn over and over to hear the teachings of Jesus, he's disappointed and confused at Jesus' lack of action in opposing the Romans. This book won a Newbery Medal and does a great job of connecting the events in the life of Christ with the history of ancient Rome. As you can see, these books will help your middle school students look at ancient times as the stories of people who lived thousands of years before we do, and yet who were like us, but with a difference. That's what makes history come alive for all of us. Check the description for the links that I mentioned. Next time, I'll share our top books for high school students covering ancient times. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.